Women don't miss men who chase, they miss men who choose themselves first. When you master distance, mystery, and purpose, you become unforgettable. Today, I'll share 8 simple yet powerful ways to make any woman miss you, and once you apply them, the game changes forever. One of the most overlooked truths about human psychology is that distance creates value. When something is always available, it loses its charm. Think about it. If you could have your favorite food every single day without effort, soon it would stop feeling special. The same principle applies to relationships. A woman cannot miss what is constantly in her face. She cannot long for a man who refuses to step back. By creating space, you trigger a natural longing. You give her the opportunity to notice your absence, and that absence is exactly what magnifies your presence in her mind. Most men fail here because they believe the more they give, the more they stay available, the more they are present in every second of her life, the stronger the bond will become. But that is not how attraction works. Too much closeness suffocates. Too much attention dilutes desire. When you pull back, when you allow silence, when you stop making yourself available at every call and message, you force her to reflect on you. You give her mind the time to wander back to the moments you shared. It is in that gap, in that emptiness, where missing is born. Distance doesn't mean neglect or cruelty, it means discipline. It means you value yourself enough not to be consumed by anyone. When you create distance, you show that you have a life outside of her, a world that doesn't revolve around her every action. Women admire men who live with purpose, who don't crumble at the thought of losing attention. By stepping back, you project strength. You communicate that you are not desperate, that you are not afraid of being without her, and that very strength makes her think of you more, not less. Imagine 2 scenarios. One man is always calling, always texting, always showing up at her door. At first, she might feel flattered, but soon she starts to take it for granted because he has made himself predictable. On the other hand, another man knows when to be present and when to step away. He doesn't announce his every move. He doesn't beg for her time. His absence makes her wonder, what is he doing? Who is he with? Does he even think about me? That curiosity evolves into desire, and desire evolves into missing. Distance, therefore, is not a weakness. It is one of the most powerful tools in attraction. You see, the mind values what it fears to lose. When you create space, you introduce the possibility of loss, even if it's subtle. She begins to realize that your time and energy are not guaranteed, that your presence is something rare, and humans crave rarity. This is why luxury items, limited editions, and scarce opportunities are always in demand. The less something is available, the higher its value climbs. The same dynamic applies to you as a man. When you are not easily available, when your attention comes in doses rather than floods, she begins to miss it the moment it's gone. Human beings are naturally drawn to what they cannot fully figure out. When something is predictable, when every action is expected, it becomes boring. Mystery is magnetic because it leaves space for curiosity. And curiosity is what makes someone replay thoughts of you again and again in their mind. When you are mysterious, when you do not reveal every detail about yourself, you create a powerful tension. That tension keeps her guessing, keeps her questioning, keeps her wondering what your next move will be, and the more she thinks, the more she misses you in your absence. Too many men destroy this dynamic by overexposing themselves. They reveal their whole life story within days. They constantly update her on where they are, what they are doing, who they are with. They have no secrets, no surprises, nothing left for her to discover. What they don't realize is that women lose interest in what becomes too obvious. If there is no puzzle, there is no excitement. If there is no uncertainty, there is no craving. By making yourself predictable, you remove her chance to fantasize about you. But by holding back, by keeping certain parts of your life private, you ignite her imagination. And imagination is far more powerful than reality because it amplifies the emotional connection she feels even when you are not there. Mystery is not about playing games or lying. It is about maintaining depth. It means you don't put your entire self on display for validation. Instead, you allow her to earn pieces of you over time. When you become an open book too soon, she has nothing left to read. But when each chapter is revealed gradually, she feels compelled to keep turning the pages. She starts thinking about you when you're not around, trying to piece together the parts she hasn't figured out yet. That's when missing begins. When her mind cannot rest because there's always something unknown about you. Unpredictability is just as powerful because it breaks routine. If she knows exactly when you'll text, exactly what you'll say, exactly how you'll respond, then there's no spark. Familiarity without variety turns attraction into monotony. But when you are unpredictable in the right ways, you bring energy and excitement. Maybe one day you surprise her with a thoughtful message, and then you disappear into your own world the next day. Maybe sometimes you choose to spend time with her, and other times you are focused entirely on your work, your goals, your growth. That unpredictability keeps her invested. She doesn't know when she will get your attention, and that uncertainty makes her value it more. A woman will miss the man who isn't always obvious, who carries himself with layers she hasn't yet uncovered. She will think about him when he is gone, replaying moments, analyzing words, searching for hidden meaning. Mystery makes her curious. Unpredictability keeps her engaged. Together, they create a powerful pull that ensures you are never forgotten in her mind. One of the biggest mistakes men make is confusing constant presence with love, thinking that by always being available, always checking in, always clinging to her, they are proving their loyalty and devotion. But in reality, clinginess is one of the fastest ways to push a woman away. Why? Because it communicates weakness. It tells her that you have no bigger purpose, no deeper mission, no life of your own beyond her existence. And when a man lives like this, he loses the very essence of masculinity that women admire. A woman does not miss the man who is glued to her every second. She misses the man whose life is bigger than her, the man who carries a vision so strong that she has to fight for a place in it. Purpose is magnetic because it shows that you are not easily distracted. It demonstrates that your energy is directed toward building, growing, achieving. When a man prioritizes his goals, his career, his physical strength, his spiritual growth, he naturally becomes less available, and this scarcity makes him more attractive. A man of purpose doesn't chase validation because his sense of worth is tied to progress, not approval. He knows that a relationship should add to his life, not become the only definition of it. And when a woman sees that, she starts to crave his attention even more. She misses him not because he is absent out of neglect, but because he is busy shaping his destiny. Clinginess, on the other hand, suffocates. It makes a man seem like he has nothing to offer except his availability. Every text, every call, every attempt to be around her starts to feel less like love and more like dependency. And dependency kills attraction. A woman cannot admire a man who cannot stand on his own 2 feet. She cannot desire a man who is afraid to let go for even a moment. When you live in clinginess, you rob her of the chance to miss you. But when you choose purpose, you give her a gift, silence, absence, space that allows her to long for you, to remember you, to feel the weight of your presence even when you are not there. Purpose does not mean neglecting her or treating her like she is unimportant. It means striking the right balance, showing that you are capable of love but not obsessed, capable of care but not enslaved. It is the ability to walk beside her without making her your entire world, and that is what makes her respect you. Respect is the foundation of missing. She will not long for a man she pities. She will not crave a man she feels she has already conquered, but she will think constantly about the man who is driven, disciplined, and unstoppable, because deep down she knows that kind of man is rare, and anything rare is always missed the moment it's gone. Attention is one of the most powerful currencies in relationships. It has the ability to make someone feel valued, desired, and appreciated, but it also has the power to make someone take you for granted when it is given too freely. When a man offers his attention without limit, when he responds to every message within seconds, when he is constantly available for calls, when he drops everything just to please her, he is not actually strengthening her attraction. He is diminishing it, because what is given in excess is rarely valued. A woman cannot miss what she knows she can have at any time. But when attention is selective, when it is measured and intentional, it becomes rare, and rarity always creates desire. Selective attention is not about playing games, it is about discipline and self-respect. It means you are in control of where your focus goes, and you do not allow your entire life to revolve around one person. A man who values his time, his energy, and his goals does not scatter his attention carelessly. He knows how to give it when it matters, when it has weight, when it leaves an impact, and that is the kind of attention a woman remembers. When you look her in the eyes and listen with presence, when you make her feel like in that moment she is the only person who exists, that experience becomes unforgettable. But when you pull back, when you return to your life, your purpose, your ambitions, she starts to crave that attention again because it is not always available. The problem with constant attention is that it kills mystery. If she knows you will always text good morning, always call at night, always reply instantly, she begins to predict you. And predictability, no matter how loving, eventually becomes dull. But when your attention is unpredictable yet meaningful, she cannot fully figure you out. Sometimes you give her your undivided focus, sometimes you disappear into your work, sometimes you invest in your own growth, and sometimes you share time with friends or family. This rhythm keeps her wondering when she will get that spark again, and that wondering transforms into missing. Selective attention also communicates strength. It shows her that you are not controlled by her validation. You are not desperate for constant reassurance. You have balance, you have boundaries, you have standards, and a man with standards is always respected. She may not say it, but deep down she values the man who does not hand over his time so easily, because she knows time is the one resource that can never be replaced. And when you treat your attention as valuable, she starts to value it too. She begins to see your presence as something meaningful rather than something ordinary. And when that presence is withdrawn, even for a short while, she feels the absence deeply. That is when missing begins, when she realizes how rare and powerful your attention truly is. What makes a person unforgettable is not how much time they spend with you, but how they make you feel in the moments they are around. Human beings do not hold on to every detail, but they do hold on to emotions. A woman may forget the exact words you said, she may forget the exact places you took her, but she will never forget how you made her feel in those moments. And this is why emotional impact is so powerful, because when you leave, the memory of those emotions lingers, forcing her to think about you, to replay those moments, to miss your presence even more. Most men assume that missing is created by absence alone, but absence without emotional impact is just emptiness. If you were always dull, if your presence brought no spark, if you were easily replaceable in the way you spoke, touched and connected, then your absence will not carry weight. But if you left her with moments of deep laughter, if you challenged her in ways no one else dared, if you spoke words that pierced her thoughts and forced her to reflect, then you have planted seeds in her mind that will grow even in your silence. She will relive those feelings in her imagination, and every replay makes your presence more powerful than your absence. Emotional impact is not about being overly dramatic or creating chaos. It is about being intentional. It is about being present in every interaction, about making conversations meaningful instead of shallow, about creating depth instead of surface level exchanges. When you speak with conviction, when you carry wisdom, when you bring energy into a room, you shift the atmosphere around you. People feel it, and women especially remember it. A man who brings value to her life emotionally is never easy to forget. His absence creates a void because he did not just occupy space, he touched the soul. Think about this. Two men can spend the same amount of time with a woman. One talks about nothing, scrolls through his phone, gives half-hearted compliments, and exists without intention. The other listens deeply, challenges her thoughts, shares his vision, makes her laugh with confidence, and leaves her inspired. Both leave at the end of the day, but only one will be missed. The reason is simple. The second man created an emotional impact, and emotional impact survives distance. Every human being is wired to seek experiences that stir emotions. That is why people listen to music, watch movies, or revisit old memories, because they want to feel something powerful. When you become the source of that feeling for a woman, she will find herself missing you without control. Your voice will echo in her mind, your presence will replay in her heart, and even when you are far away, she will crave that emotional energy again, because she knows not every man has the ability to leave such an imprint. A man who lacks self-respect will always struggle to be missed because he does not carry himself with dignity. Women do not long for men who bend at every demand, who say yes to everything, who allow themselves to be treated as an option while giving out their loyalty as if it has no value. What makes someone worth missing is not blind availability, but the presence of boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are standards that define how you expect to be treated. When a man establishes boundaries, he silently communicates his worth. He shows that he will not accept disrespect, that he will not compromise his identity for approval, and that his time, energy, and love are privileges to be earned, not entitlements to be abused. Self-respect begins with the way you view yourself. If you see yourself as someone unworthy, someone replaceable, someone who must beg for love, then you will unconsciously train others to see you the same way. A woman cannot respect a man who does not respect himself. She cannot value a man who has no backbone. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you walk with discipline and refuse to beg for validation, you create an aura of strength. That strength is not arrogant, it is magnetic. It makes her notice the difference between you and the countless men who seek approval by surrendering their self-worth. Boundaries also create contrast. Without them, everything blurs together. Yes and no have no distinction. Love and weakness become confused. Care and desperation appear the same. But when you have boundaries, you teach others where the line is. You teach them what is acceptable and what is not. A woman may test those boundaries. She may push to see how far you will bend. But every time you hold firm, you rise in value. Because boundaries prove that you cannot be controlled. They show that your presence is not cheap. And when you step away, that absence becomes heavy because it belongs to a man who does not tolerate being mishandled. Too many men believe that giving up their boundaries will make them more lovable. They confuse tolerance with kindness, and in the process, they lose themselves. They say yes when they want to say no. They allow disrespect in the name of patience. They think constant forgiveness will secure love, but love built on weakness never lasts. Women may take advantage of such men, but they never miss them when they're gone. What they miss are the men who stand tall, the men who refuse to shrink, the men who know their value and live by it. Because deep down, every woman longs for a man she can admire, and admiration is only possible when self-respect is present. Boundaries, then, are not limitations but amplifiers of value. They make your time more precious, your attention more meaningful, your presence more rare. And when you step away, those boundaries remind her that you are not easily replaceable. She will think of you not as a man who begged for her love, but as a man who demanded respect before offering it. And that difference is what makes her feel the weight of your absence long after you have walked away. Human psychology is wired to value what is rare and dismiss what is abundant. When something is always available, it is taken for granted. But when it becomes scarce, its value multiplies instantly. This principle applies to everything: luxury goods, opportunities, experiences, and it applies just as strongly to relationships. A woman cannot miss a man who is constantly in her face, always ready at her call, always handing over his presence without hesitation. But she will start to miss a man whose time, energy, and presence feel scarce, because scarcity creates desire and desire creates longing. Scarcity is not about pretending or playing games. It is about living a life that demands your attention beyond one person. When you are consumed by your goals, when you invest in your growth, when you have responsibilities and visions bigger than her, you naturally become less available. And that natural scarcity communicates one thing: value. A man whose time is not easily accessible is a man who must be earned. She cannot assume that every second belongs to her, and that awareness forces her to appreciate the moments she does get. It is in the gaps, in the pauses, in the silences that missing takes root. She begins to realize that your presence is not a guarantee but a privilege. The men who are missed the most are not the ones who gave everything freely, but the ones who gave with intention. Think about it. If you can access water at any time by turning on the tap, you don't think about it. But if that same water became rare, suddenly every drop would feel precious. The same is true with your presence. When you flood her with constant calls, texts, and appearances, you remove all sense of rarity. But when you step back, when your focus is divided into meaningful areas of your life, when you appear in her world only at certain times, you transform yourself into something she longs for. Scarcity makes her realize she cannot have you on demand, and what she cannot have easily, she begins to chase mentally and emotionally. Scarcity also breaks the cycle of predictability. If she knows you will always reply immediately, she stops valuing your messages. If she knows you will always say yes to her plans, she stops appreciating your time. If she knows you will always forgive without question, she stops respecting your standards. But when you introduce scarcity, when you are sometimes unavailable, when you are busy working, when you choose selectively where to invest your energy, you interrupt that comfort. You remind her that your presence is not something she can control. That reminder makes her feel the weight of losing it, and nothing intensifies missing more than the fear of loss. The scarcity effect is powerful because it transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The same words, the same gestures, the same time together suddenly feel different when they are rare. She begins to treasure your messages, your voice, your attention, because she knows she doesn't get it endlessly. And the moment you step away, the craving begins because the mind always longs for what is limited, what is rare, what is not guaranteed. Attraction is not built on desperation, constant chasing, or endless availability. It is built on strength, discipline, and self-respect. A woman misses the man who carries himself with value. Distance creates longing, mystery fuels curiosity, purpose commands respect, selective attention amplifies desire, emotional impact leaves unforgettable memories, boundaries demand admiration, and scarcity multiplies worth. When you live by these principles, you do not have to beg to be missed. Your absence will be felt automatically because you have positioned yourself as a man who is rare, a man who is unforgettable, and a man who can never be replaced.